And wild is the way you can really sum up the entire episode of Silo Season 3, Episode 9. It's wild. I'm going to go ahead and give my quick spoiler warning now because I have no clue what I'm going to say because I'm just amazed by this episode. And this was everything you could want in the episode, especially leading into a finale. But this is all you could want in an episode, period. And to get 2 cliffhangers in both storylines, which is why we got 2, was just crazy to me as well. And the way they both kind of left off, they kind of lead into each other at the same time. And we'll talk more about that. But tell me what you guys think about the sheer audacity of the founders basically writing a pact of human survival for 500 years underground. And the pact is supposed to be this rule book filled with human survival, laws, and apparently even brutal executions. But this entire document was created by AI. And go figure that. But if this penultimate episode proved anything, it proved that the founders are probably running out of time. And especially the questions that Juliet was asking and the ones that Bernard told her to ask or hinted at he told her to ask, they are the exact same questions that I have started asking. And you know what? I'm starting to wonder why too. But with only one episode left, the fuse is lit. So let's go ahead and dive into this episode because we have a lot to talk about. Because the power dynamics at this point have completely disintegrated and the illusion of IT's absolute control vanished the second that Bernard walked up to the algorithm and started questioning it. Bernard said it himself. For years, he thought the algorithm was this program, this highly sophisticated and technological machine that was basically the all be all. And Bernard finally realized when that algorithm cut him off angrily that, you know what, there is something going on here. Because the algorithm didn't even give Bernard a chance to give a logical conclusion to his argument. And that moment is when Bernard finally realized the terrifying truth that the algorithm is some guy or girl that is sitting on the other side of a screen, probably in Silo 1, which he's right about that, hiding behind a fake voice, giving orders and basically determining whether people live or die. But the big realization was the fact that because it's a human, and this is a big hint, it can be defeated. And this realization is obviously what pushed Bernard to make the ultimate sacrifice in this episode. He offered himself up to clean it, but not just as some noble sacrifice. He definitely made it a point that this was going to be a massive public distraction when he was talking to Juliet. So he just wanted her to know that, yes, this is a noble sacrifice, but it's not for nothing because your friends know what they're doing. And while Camille and everybody in the silo, including the Raiders, who I actually think may actually start helping the rebels now, because did you catch that scene when the one rebel, I can't remember her name right now, asked Camille, was it true about the whole vitamin D in the water thing? Is it going to raise their minds? And of course, Camille lies to her, but I actually think she caught Camille's bluff in that situation as well. So I would not be surprised if the Raiders actually kind of help out in this plan. And when those explosions started going off and everybody was standing there, what do you guys think they were actually targeting? Could it be the water filtration or is it the safeguard? I'm pretty sure it's the safeguard because going after the water filtration at this point is kind of pointless. So I'm pretty sure they're going after the safeguard, but they're just taking a different route. And then we need to have a conversation about Camille and this Messiah conflict that she has seemed to develop all of a sudden. Her grandmaster plan was to erase everybody's memories in phases, obviously, but she was going to be the sole person to keep her memories. And oh my God, she's just so traumatized because she's going to be the only person that remembers everything. And she's going to have to live with that. And on top of that, she wants Juliet to help her guide everybody into learning how to live as a civilization again. And then you know what? I'm going to wipe your memories too, but not just wipe your memories. I'm going to wipe your memories and I'm going to kill you. So of course you want to help out with this plan, right? You have the head of IT, the one who locked her own husband in seclusion, taking blind orders from a algorithm or a machine. And she has no clue what the Wizard of Oz could be planning in any situation. But she genuinely believes that she can hit Control Alt Delete on an entire civilization with no ramifications. Camille is clearly clinging to some type of illusion. And meanwhile, Juliet and her crew prove that they're going to stop at nothing to get the algorithm out of their lives and live their own 500-year sentence in peace the way they want to without being controlled by an outside force. And I think a lot of people at the silo are going to be behind them, especially after they just witnessed and we heard people question it. Bernard walking out, not to just clean, but he walked out with no suit on, which apparently isn't against the pact either, because what is when you're the one making rules? But I think Bernard paying the ultimate price and dying in front of everybody It's going to have ramifications bigger than what Camille and the algorithm can deal with. And this is clearly going to force the algorithm into a situation where they're going to at least want to use the safeguard. And then while the present day silo is tearing itself apart, let's talk about that 2049 stuff as well. Well, what year are we in now? Because we clearly had a time jump in this period. And I think it was referenced. We know that the plan was supposed to be 5 years, but I think it took 3 years. So we're at least 3 years in the future. So somewhere in the 2050s. And I just want to ask you guys, when we got to the 2050s or the present time timeline, the entire time, as soon as we got into it, matter of fact, didn't you guys just feel like the heavy dread, like something was up, something was coming? And maybe not immediately, but the moment that Daniel and Helen stepped back into Atlanta, it was just this heavy tension of secrecy and lies and bullshit. And you know what? We weren't wrong. We finally get to the Atlanta silo presentation. And here's when Victor Catcher tells us that the almighty Pact is written by AI. But, they did do some editing. So, AI didn't do all of the work. But doesn't everything about this situation seem like an ending, like a trap almost? Like we knew it was bullshit when Pear was telling us that, oh yeah, we're going to have some people inside to basically do a Big Brother type experiment and test out the silos. They're going to live there for a year, but they've been there a little over a year. And even when Helen starts asking questions and the guy avoids them, it just seems like something is coming. Like everybody knows something that nobody else does. And then we get the real smoking gun of the episode when Senator Thurman was up on the stage practicing her speech. And if you notice off to the side, Pear at the Heap rehearsed his little speech, got a phone call. I knew in that moment that something was about to happen because I was already feeling it this entire time because I never really thought that once they got to the silos that they were ever going to leave. So when he got that phone call, it was almost confirmation to me that something was about to happen. But they did a really good job in this episode as well as giving us that little bit of relief, like maybe something isn't coming, because we did see Helen come out of the silo briefly. But there are a lot of major reveals in this moment because it's clear that Helen and Daniel were purposely separated. And for what reason, I'm not really sure, because if you made it this far, then you know they got trapped underground after the explosion. So what was the real big reason that they got separated? I'm not sure. Some class system maybe. I don't know why they got separated. It's a really stupid justification to separate them because he's an engineer and she's just a reporter. And then they put her in silo 18 and him in silo 1. I don't know. Well, for story reasons, I do understand because she's going to have a connection to silo 1 past and obviously the future. And he's probably still alive in silo 1. But right before the explosion that I was talking about happened, Daniel and Helen get their last look at each other right before that massive nuclear explosion. And I wonder how that explosion happened. Do you guys think it was coincidence? Do you think Pear got a phone call? Hey, we're about to do this now. Go ahead and get your ass on the ground. Was it Charlotte, the drone pilot, directing the nuclear bombs? We don't know. So we will have to wait to find out that. But everything about the situation told us that this was a trap. These people were never leaving because they told us everything in this situation and basically how we got everybody and all the different people in the silos. He recruited 2 of each race from around the world to come just visit this site. So that kind of was my first red flag right there that, you know what, these people aren't leaving once they get down there. And you know what, we were left to assume that they took 10,000 people down at a time in each silo and it started that way. And it clearly didn't. And it makes sense that they didn't start that way because that would have probably rang a lot of alarms. So they took a designated few thousand people and split them up between the silos. And now those people are going to repopulate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as we see, everybody that was there has obviously repopulated all of the silos, or at least the ones that are still living, whichever ones those are. But that is kind of what I meant when I said the final minutes kind of mirrored each other with the 2 explosions in this episode. And this episode basically launches us into the finale with 0 breaks. It's going to be full on, no stop, and we're going to pedal to the metal until we get to the end of the episode next week. In the present, we have Juliet questioning Camille, and we see Camille go run off to go talk to the algorithm as we see her little buzzer thing turn red. So we're going to see the fallout from that situation play out. And I'm almost sure the algorithm is going to want to use the safeguard. So I'm almost positive at the same time that Juliet and her crew are probably trying to stop the safeguard. And I'm pretty sure there are going to be some deaths, and there may be a lot of deaths in this episode. And I'm really curious to see how this plays out. But tell me what you guys think about that. Do you see a lot of deaths in the future in the present timeline? Maybe not that many. Maybe their plan goes wrong. I doubt that, but we'll see how it plays out. The big question about that situation is, what will Camille, well, not really Camille, because we know what she's going to go do, but what will the Raiders do? Will the Raiders back Camille as they've been doing, or will they actually help Juliet and the people of the silo? Because maybe they now realize that Camille has lied to them and has been lying to them, and that they're going to lose their memories too if they keep drinking the water. I am definitely curious to see what happens with that, because I don't think it's going to work out in Camille or the algorithm's favor. And how is Silo 17 going to play into all of this? Because they're not just going to be sitting over there by themselves. And then, like I said in the last video, they did not take us back to Silo 17 and show us that everybody was still over there living and self-sustaining for no reason. I truly believe at some point that we're going to end up with Juliet and a select few people, or whatever group that she has, in Silo 17. And then in the before times timeline, I guess we're kind of done there. We know that the bombs went off. We know that everybody's trapped in the silos now. But I think the big reveals that we're going to get in episode 10, and maybe even going into next season, are the setup. How does everything work? And the why. Maybe we'll start getting a lot of the why now. Why did they build the silo? Well, we know why they built the silos, because Pear set everybody up. He wanted to basically stop a world disaster by causing a world disaster. So we know why he did it. But why do we have to be in there for 500 years? What's going on with the air outside? Is the air outside really poison? Because I don't think it is. And it's really confusing me, because Lucas got shot, and maybe this is a plot hole. Lucas got shot, so there was clearly air or whatever's outside going into his suit, but he's alive. But Bernard goes out there with no suit, inhales the air, and dies. Is the math on that part isn't quite adding up to me. There just seems to be a little bit something more that maybe I'm missing, but I just don't understand that part. How one could live and the other could die. Maybe it's exposure. Maybe they weren't out there as long. Bernard is out there without a mask. Lucas has a small hole, so maybe it's just exposure. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think about that. But the last thing I'll say about the before times cliffhanger is this, without a shadow of a doubt, confirms that everybody that was there are the very first inhabitants of the silo. Or should we even call them inhabitants? Let's call them victims of a 500-year social experiment. So going into next week, it is clear the stakes have never been higher. And if you've been watching this show all 3 seasons, you probably know that. Because we have not one, but 2 storylines that have left us on cliffhangers. And I am dying to know how they are going to close up these stories or tie them together. Because, you know, the before times timeline may go away next season, because they may close that out next episode, because we may not need it in our final season, unless it's going to help us explain some things that are happening in the present timeline with flashbacks. But I don't expect to see much more of the before times timeline next season. And let's talk about our official death pool, we'll call it, for season 3, because we're definitely not going to get out the final episode unscathed. We're going to lose some people. So you guys tell me who you think we're going to lose. Drop that down in the comments. But the way things played out, I'm going to place my bets on Camille not making it. Her God complex is going to catch up with her and get her killed. Because I think the second the Raiders realize that she's poisoning them, they're going to turn their backs on her just as quick as they followed her. And then we have to think about Shirley and Knox. I think they might be safe. At least Shirley probably is. I don't know about Knox. And then what do you guys think about the Marthas of this world? Do you think she makes it to the next season? I don't know. Bernard's gone, so anything could really happen. But that is all I have for this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe and hit the hype button. It really helps the channel. And make sure you come next week for the final breakdown of this season. I'm really looking forward to it. And we're probably going to do a complete season recap and breakdown after that, talking about where we're going to go going into season 4 after we get through the final episode. You can also find me across all socials. Just make sure you follow me at Spoilerish and Unfiltered on everything there. I appreciate that as well. And with all that being said, I don't even think we could be safe in this world anymore. So stay as safe as you can. And I will see you all in the next.